Welcome to today's Monday morning podcast, September the 29th, 2025. So I'm just driving and I thought, what the heck, let's record it while I'm driving and see how it goes. So I was just at the Artist Co-op in Owen Sound and I met a wonderful artist. And a lot of things that artists do, which is very smart, is they basically print cards of their artwork. And what's really cool about that is, you can buy a really nice piece of art, so to speak, and share it with people, as a card. So I use them for thank you cards, and I also probably, as A Corp develops, will suggest to artists that they think about ways in which they can tell a story behind that piece of art that they created, because there's always a story, or there should be. No, I shouldn't say that. I'm sure there are some times when it's just a nice image that they see, or they capture something in their mind and they want to create it. But what I'm drawn to as a consumer of art is the thinking and the stories behind what that artist created. So that's really cool, and we had a great conversation. She's a wonderful artist, and is sort of spending time in Grey Bruce and another place, just so that she can be close to her kids, and they're adults, her adult kids, which is really cool. We moved back up to Grey Bruce so that my wife could be closer to her mom. On a Saturday they did a bunch of stuff together. So, I don't want all of my musings and podcasts to link back to Area 81, although that is a core thing that I'm working on. So forgive me if I mention it probably too often. But artists are a wonderful group of people, whether they're a musician, whether they're a writer, whether they're a visual artist, whether they're a filmmaker, an actor, you name it. Their calling is not to make money, it's to make something of lasting value and make people feel good about it. They make memories and they make people feel good. The challenge for some of them, not all of them, but the challenge for some of them is, whether they make enough from an economic perspective, and this is an individual thing, right? I mean, some artists do it for the love of it, and they maybe don't necessarily want to make a career out of it, or a business out of it, which is great, and that's fine, and we need artists, who are doing it out of love, and the economics don't matter. The challenge that I'm seeing with some artists who want to make a business out of it is just figuring out how to, generate not just a sustainable wage, but a business model that's actually going to be something that creates value, not just today, but in the long term, and potentially leave a legacy. And all of these artists, the ones that are professionally engaged and fully employed, doing their art, versus the ones that aren't fully employed and choose not to be and do it out of love, getting them together to help each other and to learn from each other, I think is really, really important. And one of the reasons why we've launched our A Corp venture project. We're starting with musicians, but what was very interesting in my conversation today with this artist was she teaches people how to paint. So she said one of the things they did at the last class is she was talking about music and how to create art with music in mind. Now I'd be more interested, I'd love to learn more about how that worked, but and I'm just guessing, but so an example might be, if I hear a song and I love the song and I'm a painter, what does that song mean to me visually? That's pretty cool. And that's the basis of a story, right? So I'm just really excited about the amount of things I'm discovering and people I'm meeting and having conversations with who are artists. And really, really excited about the potential of A Corp. Another thing I wanted to talk about today, is this concept of catalogs and control. So there's a, I don't know what it is. It's not a manifest, but I think it's a blog post or an article that was written by Yancey Strickler, who is the founder of Kickstarter, and now is really focused in on developing a legal model for artist corps. He in part is what got me into launching the A Corp venture project through Area 81. Anyway, he talks about this concept of catalogs, right? So this is a very interesting concept. So, and I'm not going to do justice, so I'm going to probably write about it and talk about it and maybe infuse the concept of cataloging into the business model for A Corp. But essentially, if you look at the work you create, whether you're an artist, whether you're a marketer, whether you're an influencer, that's a term I can't stand, a writer, that sort of thing, even if you're I don't know, a carpenter, or somebody that's creating some value, you can catalog it. So for example, I have a lot of blog posts. That's part of my catalog. I have 20 or 30 podcasts. That's part of my catalog. Maybe one day I'll become an artist and learn how to paint, and I'll create a piece of art based on music. That's part of my catalog. Now, you also have, from a catalog perspective, contacts. So you have a catalog of contacts, which is another way to look at it. And I love the concept of a catalog. It kind of feels more than a list, or a portfolio. A catalog suggests that there is some degree of economic value being generated by that catalog now and in the future, and it has some degree of intellectual property and equity tied to it as well. So you have a catalog of songs, for example. Over time, it should become more valuable. The other part of the catalog to think about is corps. So I want to have a catalog of corporations that I'm involved in some way, shape, or form, mostly minority interest in terms of equity. I want to have a catalog of content, and I want to have a catalog of contacts. So that's the catalog piece. The other part is control. And what I mean by that is control in a way that is not negative, depending on the way you look at it. So right now, from a positive perspective, what we want as humans is control of our privacy, control of our time, control of our data, and control of the things that we create in such a way that we get the most value for ourselves, the people we love, and in some cases, our customers. Today, we don't have as much control as I think we need, and I'll use an example with intermediaries, these middle people, middle organizations. So if I'm a writer, I don't have control over the distribution of my books in such a way that I can generate, or I don't think I do, that I can generate enough value or capture enough value for myself. So I rely on Amazon to sell my books, and I don't have control over the policies, I don't have control over the amount of money I get paid, that sort of stuff. If I'm on Facebook, I don't have control over the decisions that they make about policies, about what content they'll leave on their site, what content they won't. In fact, when I upload a video of me training on court for my competitive squash career, I have to go through a copyright check, and it's my video. So talk about the optics of control on that. So I know some people who are working on things, which I probably will talk about in the future, where they are making it possible for you to have control over the things that you own, especially your information, and especially the way in which you can communicate. So right now, if you communicate from your, let's say, Facebook, I don't use the Facebook application they use for voice video course communication. My wife uses it for her mom and her, but that information is being distributed through Facebook's network. And here's the creepy part that's even more relevant to this notion of control. So Roomba is this a robot vacuum cleaner that goes and basically maps the room in which you get it to vacuum and remembers, the paths it take, I guess. We don't have one, but that's my assumption. Well, in order for it to do that, it's obviously taking a video of its path, and there's a case where it bumped into a woman who was unfortunately going to the bathroom, and it recorded that. And that video was then circulated amongst Roomba employees as a funny thing to share. That's the primary example. There is no privacy in terms of what is being captured in terms of in your house, your point-to-point connections and private calls, whether it's through WhatsApp or any other messaging application. So catalogs and control, and then my story about my encounter with this really amazing, talented artist pretty much sums up today's episode. Have a great week.